This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Steve here again at the Life and Sad Ending channel. Today's episode is brought to you by Scissors, when nothing else will cut it. Today we're taking a look at the great Gracie Allen, part of the duo Burns and Allen. You remember. Gracie Allen was born on July 26, 1895 in San Francisco, California. Her birth name was Grace Ethel Cecile Rosalie Allen. She was performing on stage by the age of 3 and was given her first job on the radio by Eddie Cantor. She graduated from the Star of Sea Convent School in 1914. Gracie, with her 3 sisters, performed Irish folk dances as the Four Colleens. During her time as a vaudeville performer, she met George Burns in 1922, and they formed a comedy duo and were married in 1926 on stage at the Palace Theater in Cleveland. Their original act began with Gracie being the straight man and George Burns delivering the punchlines. When George noticed that Gracie was getting laughs with the straight lines instead of his punchlines, he switched roles. People fell in love with Allen's innocent and clueless character. It wasn't long till they were headlining in major vaudeville theaters. Burns once said their success was all due to Gracie. All I had to do was say, "Gracie, how's your brother?" and she talked for 38 years. And sometimes I didn't even have to say, "Gracie, how's your brother?" By the 1930s, Burns and Allen were big hits on the radio.
Where did you go, dear?
Oh, just out for a little fresh air. Say, Gracie, been having any dreams lately?
Oh, yes, I have, George, and such silly ones. I worry about what happens to my mind at night.
And I'm on the day shift.
Huh?
Nothing.
Oh.
Tell me about the dreams you had.
Well, last night I had a real nightmare. I dreamt I was walking down Hollywood Boulevard with no clothes on. All I was wearing was a hat. Oh, was I embarrassed.
Well, I'll bet you were.
Sure, it was last year's hat.
Why don't you run over and tell your dream to Dr. Miller?
Oh, George.
That man will interpret it for you.
Nah, I wouldn't tell him a dream like that.
Well, you don't have to tell him you had it. Tell him it was someone else's.
Oh, but it's such a silly dream.
We all have silly dreams. Look at me. Last night I dreamt that I won a golf match with a one-legged kangaroo.
Oh, that is silly.
Well, sure.
Oh, imagine you winning a golf match.
Burns and Allen also appeared in the movies such as International House with W.C. Fields in 1933, Six of a Kind in 1934, and with Fred Astaire in A Damsel in Distress in 1937. In the 1930s, Burns and Allen adopted 2 children. Their names were Sandra Jean and Ronald John. In 1950, they brought their radio show to television. Ronnie, their son, later joined the cast of the Burns and Allen television show, playing their son. Sandy also made occasional appearances, playing a waitress, secretary, or telephone operator. She later became a teacher. At the end of each show, Burns would say to Gracie, "Say goodnight, Gracie," and she would simply reply, "Good night." There is a myth that she would reply, "Good night, Gracie." The fact is, she never said that. This confusion was believed to have been caused by Rowan and Martin's laugh-in. Dan Rowan would say to Dick Martin, "Say goodnight, Dick," and Martin would reply, "Good night, Dick." This seemed like something Gracie Allen would have said. The bit was actually used before laugh-in on the Beverly Hillbillies when Jed said to Jethro, "Say goodnight, Jethro," and Jethro replied, "Good night, Jethro." It turns out that Paul Henning, the creator of the Beverly Hillbillies, was also head writer on the Burns and Allen show. Gracie Allen suffered with heart disease for many years and wanted to retire from show business. However, George was reluctant to end their TV show. Gracie finally convinced him to let her retire in 1958. Sadly, Gracie Allen died of a heart attack in Hollywood, California on August 27, 1964. She was only 62 years old. She was interred at the Freedom Mausoleum in the Sanctuary of Heritage at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. George joined her 32 years later in 1996. He was only 100 years old. Gracie Allen, by census records, had been born in 1895, but many times in different biographies through the years, she claimed that she was born in 1902, 1904, 1906, but in this case, we're going to give Gracie the benefit of the doubt and go by her marker, which says 1902. As you may know, I read every single comment, so please leave one, and remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you again next time, unless I come to my own sad ending.